Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. It's June 24th, Wednesday. I'm your host, Jose Galison, and this is the kitty of the day, Phoebe. She's about a week out from babies. Look at this big old tummy. Look at that sucker. She is, about to have another litter. She's a veteran mommy. She'll do just fine. She's a good one. She's a sweet lady. So we got babies coming soon. That's always fun, exciting times. But yeah, with that, if you like seeing my hot takes Monday through Friday, typically around 11 a.m. Eastern, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications. That way you can see when we're dropping new videos and when we're going live. We'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine. It's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning, good morning. Oh, geez, the volume's all the way cranked up. 1 second, give me a moment. I don't know why. Every time I reconnect this thing, it bounces all the way up to max. Used to just stick around on the default setting, but hey, sorry, you don't need to deal with my production woes. Hope you guys are having a good morning. We have plenty to go through today. As always, we start this show off with Icebreaker content, as we call it, the fun, the funny, the Gen Pop slop, just something to kind of ease us into our talk for the day. Especially as we get into the war talk, which usually follows up after our icebreaker stuff, and then we kind of take a steep 180, go into the world of murder, talk about our the foreign policy roundup, what's going on over there, and then after that we'll get to our first titled segment, the Thiel Takeover, the total Thiel Takeover. I should have thrown total in there, make it a little more catchy. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll edit it after the fact. But the total Thiel Takeover. What's going on, kind of a little bit of a follow-up. We talked about this last night and already did, but a little bit more of a follow-up of the dialogue stuff. Go into some of the responses of the people who went there, yada, yada. It'll be a fun time. And then we'll get into the last segment of the day, which I don't think we'll have to cut it. We should be able to get to it today. Fentanyl Fast and Furious. Pretty interesting story. We're essentially kind of like, for those who may recall, the Fast and Furious scandal where they were letting guns cross the border. The idea being is so they can track them and, use it for like kind of law enforcement purposes to kind of like, I don't know, just get the big catch. And then, what ended up happening is just, they ended up just being guns that went to thugs and were not tracked and nobody really got taken down for it. So it was just, in essence, just the U.S. government giving thugs weapons. A similar such thing, I guess, happened with fentanyl. So, kind of flooding the streets with drugs, kind of the idea of being like, oh, we're going to get the baddies. And then we're not getting any baddies. So we'll talk about all that and more. And then you flooded your community with drugs. But we'll get into all that and more, casual reminder. This is an info dump format show. That's kind of what the show is. I haven't always, hashed through all these stuff. Most of the stuff is stuff we're just kind of going through together. Also, casual reminder, housekeeping wise, that if you are one of the people who doesn't like to catch it live, to accommodate your listening or viewing experience, we provide timestamps that way you can bounce around from topics and get away from the chat banter if you so choose, which I try to keep towards the end of each segment. And then also a reminder for the people here for the live experience, I try to give everyone at least one good morning. After that, you got to catch my interest or catch my wallet. Luckily, I am like a squirrel when it comes to my interests, so unless I'm stuffed for time, I'm usually pretty good at interacting with the chat. So But if you do really want to cut through the noise, drop a little super chat. It helps out the channel. And if you want to help out the channel too, we also got in the top left-hand corner QR code, and you can get something for your troubles as well. A whole host of perks, which I'll list at the end of the episode. But that's the Patreon over there if you want to support just a low level of $2 a month. But with that, let's go ahead and get into some Icebreaker content. I know there was recently this this musician that I guess this is one of these moments when I really realize how fucking old I am. I mean, I don't consider myself as an old person. I still feel young at heart. I just turned 35. I mean, I think I'm still fairly youngish. But this guy, Oliver Tree, recently died. And there was like this resounding wave of people like, who the fuck is this guy? And then so there were people that I actually thought were like, yeah, I knew they were YNs, young niggas or whatever. But the little younger people, maybe a little bit younger than me, but like I would see them as like peers in at least in regards to age, generally speaking. I know they'd be a little bit younger, and people of that being like acting like it was insane that people didn't know who this guy was. You're like, yo, that's how you know you're old. And I'm like, wow, I guess I am old. I don't know. I think I'm aged a little bit in the fact that I had kids at like 19. So like I don't know. I think maybe I didn't get as didn't stick around in the pop culture world, music as much as some other people maybe of my age. So that's my cope. So I don't feel as old. But yeah, I have no idea who the fuck this Oliver Tree guy is. My kids were like, "Oh my god, you're old," when I didn't know where Oliver Tree is. Which that is like whatever. I get that from the kids, but it was something else, and it was like people that I'm like, oh, these people I regularly interact with on Twitter for like the past like 5+ years or so, or, like 6-ish years, I guess, at this point. And you're like, oh, I thought we were peers. No, I'm fucking old. But yeah, anyways, talking to this Oliver Tree guy, apparently he just recently died. It was a helicopter crash. I believe it was supposed to be a helicopter hit another helicopter. And from there, a whole host of conspiracies have emerged. Apparently I guess he recently said in a podcast that he uses songs for torture techniques. He died shortly after. I think the implication from many people was like, oh, it's the U.S. government. Here's one clip of that.
Actually, the word got back to me. So about 2 years ago, the U.S. government was using my music to actually use torture techniques on people. I'm not kidding. I wish I could say.
Which one?
All of them. This one specifically. So Life Goes On was one, and then Miss You, and then there was Alien Boy and Hurt. Actually,
okay, so he made this claim on a podcast to that song. I feel like I do. It's weird how like this is. I guess what's so befuddling for me with the story is it's like everyone acted like it was bizarre if you didn't know him, and it was like it really is. Nothing about him register. Even this song, like it is vaguely familiar. Apparently, it's huge on TikTok. So maybe it's like a TikTok thing. Maybe that's the schism here. I never was a TikTok person. Anyways, continuing on, so that obviously the theory being there, the U.S. Well, apparently there's more. I think this one has a little bit more. There's a little bit more to this. This theory that I'm about to tell you right here. Apparently, the claim is that there was apparently Oliver Tree broke a contract with someone named Len Blavatnik, whose company finances military drones for Israel. And then 2 months later, he died when his helicopter was intercepted by another one. So, I mean, I know that this guy asked Grok. Grok's not the end-all, be-all. Just you never know that he could be. You never always keep in mind these things hallucinate stuff. He asks, "Is it true? If this is true, yes. Public reports confirm Len Blavatnik's Claltech participated in Extend Series B funding rounds. Extend develops AI-powered autonomous drones and tactical robots used by militaries, including the IDF, in combat operations. Blavatnik owns Warner Music Group. Holy shit, that's the parent of Atlantic Records. Holy fuck. Which Oliver Tree was signed to in a document disputes with before his recent death in a Brazil helicopter collision. No evidence links the investment or contract issues to the crash." So there were murmurs of contract problems before their death. Which I'm kind of surprised this guy was essentially a record, one of the record musicians, because I've only become vaguely familiar with him recently, but he kind of came off of this like I know one of the clips I saw go and make the rounds, it kind of was like, what a stupid fucking scumbag. He made it like apparently he supposedly allocated his money. I don't know if he actually did or not, but he said on a podcast That for when he died, he didn't want his money to go to his family. He wanted to go to like some sort of fund to to help young artists or something. And you're like, you fucking stupid piece of shit. Well, I mean, you would think that guy, it's kind of surprising he's not like an indie guy, but no, he was Warner Music Group, Atlantic Records, like the big dogs. Like that's probably, I mean, I'm not a big music head or anything, but I'd say that's probably, if I had to guess, top 3. I mean, if I think of music record companies, Atlantic's definitely one that comes to mind off the top. So pretty nuts, pretty nuts. Okay, but yeah, I'm kind of surprised he was. So yeah, apparently there might be something to that, and to give even more credibility to it, keep in mind how this certain type of people be. The Israelis, when it comes to negotiating, as this guy right here says, they do not negotiate. Israel's existence, for example, is non-negotiable. This is a pretty terrifying one, but I guess more to the idea of like, oh, would an Israeli murder someone over a dispute? Well, they'd probably nuke people over a dispute. We've got nukes in play, people. We've been playing these clips regularly from this like Jerusalem, I forget what the N stands for, like Jerusalem something summit. We've been getting some crazy clips, people saying the quiet part out loud. This one is saying the quietest part the fucking loudest. And once you dig into who this guy is, it's even more kind of sinister, which we'll do that in a moment. But here is some dude at the summit. I forget his name. It doesn't say it here. We'll go into who he is here in a second, because who he is significant. And I think adds even more weight to what he just said here. Like, holy shit. But we got nukes in play. Here's the clip.
Israel's existence is not negotiable. And it does not depend on superpowers or the public opinion. And if they keep pushing Israel to the corner, they are the ones who are going to suffer the most. Israel hasn't used everything that it has. And Israel, on a purpose, did not expose the advanced weapons that it has for a very important reason. We don't want the enemy to know what we are having. And now, at this point, we're just playing around. So, this is the clear message to those who think that they can annihilate Israel. Behind Israel is existence, is the creator. Israel is not coincidental. I try not to, sorry for the long answer, please.
That's wonderful.
I try not to use God, because God could mean anything for anybody. But if they think the Israeli survival, 5,000 years, is coincidental, they need to rethink.
All right, a little bit creepy. This is part of the. I'll give you a recap, a little bit of part of the quote. It says Israel's existence is non-negotiable, does not depend on superpowers or public opinion. If they keep pushing Israel into a corner, they will suffer most. Israel has not used everything it has. Some weapons stay hidden for a reason. For now, we are still just playing around. Let me hunt down real quick, because I looked up who this guy was the other day. Just a quick grok to be. Do I have it still in here? Damn it. Whatever. I'll just do it again real quick. I didn't think I did on my phone. That's why it's not showing up here. But yeah, this guy. This is not. Let me 1 second. For some reason, it keeps referring to. Who is the guy speaking? Let me ask Grok this real quick, because he has some. Essentially, I'll go ahead and tell you, he is, I believe he was the son of a co-founder of Hamas who ended up working for Israel, which is like, holy shit. Let's give this a second. I'm pretty sure that's who this is. Once again, this is Grok, though, so it could just be imagining it, but I couldn't find it anywhere else. No, this is not who's speaking it. Sorry, I'll see if I can find it on my phone, actually. I had it on there. Whatever. We may just have to move on, because I did want to provide the additional context. I thought I could just look it up on Grok, but I guess the phone one and it do not talk. So unfortunately, let me see if I can find it. There we go. Actually, I got it on my phone. It's No, never mind. What the fuck? That's I totally looked this up yesterday. It's not showing up in the history. Well, they're saying this is Daniel Hanukkah, who is the guy who posted this. I don't think that's him. I mean, they look kind of different, and I found somewhere else they were saying this was actually like some son of like the co-founder of Hamas or something, who essentially ended up essentially becoming an agent for Israel. So kind of sinister intrigue. I might be wrong there. Let me see if I can find something in the replies. I don't think it's that guy. Well, I can't believe. I'm sorry. I feel stupid. I'd had that prepared. I had it in the history. I thought I had something there.
Israel is.
Give me one more moment. I'm hemming and hawing over this. I feel stupid. I totally had this ready to go. No, it's not showing up in there, huh? Weird. Oh, never mind. Here you go. I found it. Masab Hassan Yusuf is who they're saying this is. Let me see. Actually, let me look him up and double check this real quick. See if I can find him to double check. Let's look at a picture of him and see if it's the same guy, because I do think this gives us a little bit more oomph. Yeah, it's totally the guy. This is him. It's not Grok was being retarded and trying to tell us it was the person who posted it, who it's not. You can see from the photos. It's pretty clearly this guy. You can tell. But anyways, back to who he is. Former Hamas insider. He was son of Hamas co-founder Sheikh Hassan Yusuf. I guess he's got a nickname known as the Green Prince. Former Hamas insider, defected to Israel in the late 90s, worked as a Shin Bet informant / spy for years, converted to Christianity, later became a prominent author, speaker, and critic of Hamas and radical Islam. Not an IDF reservist himself, yada, yada. Okay, that point's relevant. This is the JNS International Policy Summit. I still don't know what the N was standing for. I thought it would give us a breakdown there. Maybe it's in Hebrew or something. Maybe it doesn't make sense when you translate over to English. But it's the JNS International Policy Summit panel is what they're calling it. I still don't know what the JNS stands for. But either way, yeah, creepy. That dude right there, who because it clearly has some seemingly espionage intrigue to his name. This is kind of a lot like I forget what Pollard, kind of if like Jonathan Pollard saying something like this. So creepy. This guy may actually know some stuff, may be in touch with people. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he's the sort of guy that keep in the loop with Israeli intelligence and the like. But keep in mind, this country speaks this way about the sort of things they would be willing to do, and this is pretty wild. Harrison Smith, I saw posted this is another one of these clips from one of these guys at one of these events. This is he says it's any single other media person talking about this other than me. It says in places where gun ownership is illegal, private Jewish security forces are not only allowed to own guns, they are being paid for by the government. And what he's talking about here is this clip from Amachai Chikli that says Jewish security forces in Canada, Australia, and elsewhere should be allowed to carry guns all over the place in response to rising threats. So essentially having Jewish militias everywhere that are being state funded, let's be real, probably, ushered in under the banner of like anti-Semitism laws, like, oh, we need to protect them, add in extra assurances. But let's watch this clip. Let's see, catch a little bit more context here.
When we are dealing with the security forces of the Jewish community, they're not allowed to carry weapons in Canada. We also, back in Michigan, what is the meaning of armed security that can prevent horrific incidents? So this is very, very important. By the way, in Bondi Beach, you have in Australia, they can carry weapons, but only in the institutions. But since the event was on the beach, so they were unarmed. So carrying weapons is very important, that the security forces of the community will be armed. It can save lives, because if they had guns in Bondi Beach, it wouldn't take 12 endless minutes of massacre to do something, okay? So with Canada, it was clear that it's about to happen, and I hope that Carney and his government will do something.
That's wild. So he's using an example of Bondi Beach here, which I forget the specifics of that. I believe it was like 2 gunmen kind of generic. But I forget the specifics on that one. It looked a little fishy. Maybe that might be one worth looking back at one of these days. But I remember it glowed quite a bit. It seemed. I don't know. Maybe it was all on the up and up. But yeah, there was a kind of a pretty awful slaughter there. I forget how many people died, but obviously a contributing factor to why it was so horrible is because this is Australia, where they're kind of renowned for having pretty strict gun laws to the point of many people functionally see them as essentially not allowing guns. I know that's not entirely true, but so anyways, no one really had guns there. But I guess they were previously before this, though. I guess they're saying the Jews in the region were allowed to have them in their certain centers or whatever for defense. So I don't know to what degree that differs from normal citizens of Australia, if there's some sort of function for that being a thing in some places. But even then, though, let's say that aside, now they're saying that currently over in Australia that they can carry guns. So you essentially have Jewish militias roving around in gun-free countries where the citizenry can't even have that. So I don't know. Call me a little bit schizophrenic, but it seems a little bit like a cause for concern. If you understand, especially if you understand the birth of Israel, have a little bit of a recollection of how that went down. I mean, you should be maybe a little bit concerned when you got Jewish militias forming up, especially in regions where the populace is not allowed to have those guns. It causes pretty unique situations. Situations we're still feeling the echoes from, decades later. So, but with that, let's roll the chat, say some good mornings, say our hellos. Let's check in on you beautiful people, see what you guys got to say. Good morning, JMS. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Bug Fights. Is damn dude. I come back and my Nig Jose is on time every day. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, been on time. I told you guys summer was gonna be a different beast. My schedule is all different. It's it makes for some other weird snafus, but I think on the whole, I probably am generally better, more consistent day to day, and more on time during the summer. So. Hell yeah. But we'll get back. Eventually, that won't be the case, so enjoy it while you can. What else we got? Good morning, Tom33 says, fixin' to dump today, as are we all. Good morning, King David. Reminding everybody to hit that like button. Yes, please. Good morning, Fire Pixie. Commenting on how nice my pussy is. Ooh, I forgot to mention. I meant to cover it when we covered the nuke thing as kind of like a timeline cleanse of don't worry. But whatever. It's just a cute photo. I'll just show you guys. It was just an opportunity to, the wife got a cute picture of all the kittens, caught them at just the right time when they're all looking. I mean, half the deal with these kittens thing is promoting and just having cute photos. So that's why we have the Facebook page with all the cute photos and stuff. But on that nuke one that I just talked about just recently, I quote tweeted it with drop pussy pics, not nukes, also fuck Israel. But either way, I just want to show you guys, it's a really cute picture, you guys. For the kitty fans on the show, for the people who are here for the kitties and not for me, here you go. Here's the cute one. Here they are, all perfectly. Look, this is 2 litters, actually, by the way. You can kind of tell which litter is which. The brown ones are one litter, and the black ones are another. So we get a litter of 5 and a litter of 2 there. So from 2 different mamas. But you can see them. They're a bunch of sweethearts. They're all hanging out in their own little cat room together now. But yeah, adorable little fellers. They're a sweet litter. I'll be sad when they're gone. But yeah, here's a picture of them. But I'll have a new litter right when they leave. So it's just kind of a vicious cycle. It's a beautiful cycle. All right, I just want to show you guys that cute picture of kitties. All right, let's check in some more. Good morning is again to you, Fire Pixie, over on Rumble, doubling up. Hell yeah, let's do it. That's how you get the double the chat. Does Peter Thiel eat babies? Probably. Says Bulging Battery 2050. Good morning to you. Probably. I know he's I think he had something to do with, what do they call it? Ambrosia? I think he was a funder of that ambrosia thing, which I don't know. I guess that's this it's like Thiel comes along and finds ways to sanitize. It's like we just had what we're about to do in the next segment, talk about the dialogue thing. It's like we were talking about last night on Already Dead. It's they're kind of these get together. There's these corporate get together workshops. They're almost sanitize the language, and you're like, dude, that's the Illuminati. When the ambrosia thing's the same thing. It's literally the idea of adrenochrome and the older essentially drinking the blood of the young to essentially sustain themselves. And ambrosia is just like the sanitized version of that, which is they're doing. I think it's the idea, the supposed, these purported like what's happening there is they're doing transfusions of young blood. So like I forget the name of the guy. It was like Brian Johnson or something. I know there's this weird like crazy health guy. I think he was the one who was doing it. His whole thing is like trying to be as young as possible, biologically. And yeah, he was literally taking his son's blood and transfusing it into himself. So he was essentially giving himself youthful blood. And I believe they've shown it actually had some health benefits. I don't know. Good morning, Joshman. Good morning. Bug fight. See, 36 next month. Never heard of him. That's like the line. See, 28. No idea who he is. But there were people, I swear, that are around your age, like mid to late 20s, that were like, everybody knows. I can't believe there are people who don't know where Oliver Tree is. And I'm like, I can't be that old. But all right. Just Will, good morning to you. So guys say not much was lost musically. I don't know. I haven't really caught his whole library, but I don't know. The couple little clips I've heard going around sound pretty nice. Catch my ear. Make me tap my foot. Good morning, Sean Newman. Said heard you talk about Tulsi Gabbard on Ashtray Dead. But you admitted how hot she is. Great show. Yeah, she's pretty. She's pretty cute. She's pretty smoking hot. She is literally devil. By the way, yesterday's Already Dead. I talked about that. That was like kind of the main segment, or not Already Dead, the morning dump. So if you're here, if you are interested, I did cover some of the Tulsi stuff yesterday, particularly like the cult stuff with her and like the Fauci, her going after Fauci. So I covered that. Unfortunately, right now, I don't think it's actually available on YouTube. It might be back up in a little bit. Apparently, I got a hit for copyright on that one. The outro I did on that was Putin singing Blueberry Hill, and apparently that got me a copyright strike, which I wouldn't have guessed that. I guess because it was played on TV somewhere. So I told YouTube just to cut out the segments. So I haven't seen it gone back up yet, though. But maybe by the time you get a chance to check it up, it'll probably be up. I think that's 852. No Way Jose 852. I believe I called it the Goyce. I believe the title had the Tulsi segment was in the title, and it was the Tulsi takedown. So and these are timestamped too, so it should be in there. Should be easy to get to. Good morning, Boomer Sooner. Good morning. Good morning, Gottis. Good morning, Retardo, Genio. Good morning. Good morning, Billy Macabre. Good morning, Sunshine. Good morning. Good morning, Six Art. Good morning. Good to see you here. Jewish surge tension, says Tom33. Yeah, kind of. Good morning, Q Bertimo. Good morning, JMS. Six Art saying that guy's a professional turncoat. Yeah, that is pretty wild to be, the son of a co-founder, just to kind of, especially like I'm not even all. I know people have this herder terrorism idea of these groups. I mean, I'm not like trying to romanticize these groups either, but like Hamas is essentially functionally, and I'm sure they've done awful things, as many, resident gangs of areas do, that's what a government is just a gang that's taking up residence there, that the people have found they found a way to get the people to be agreeable with that situation for it to work. That's what Hamas is. It's in some regards a local government. So, but it is also in some regards like the militia, kind of, and sort of is a, and they're kind of have a tendency to be known for being better at actually somewhat standing up for the people of Gaza, as opposed to particularly like the PLO over in the West Bank. Anyways, just kind of wild to me that this like someone would turn, because that seems like a pretty fucked up thing to do, to turn especially to your people, I would say, but I don't know. But good morning, Sirhan Solo. Good morning to you. What else we got? Kata says I'm mostly here for the kiddies. There you go. But I like the foreign policy segment, and Jose is cute. Aw, and Cubert, I had never heard of Oliver Tree. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on being called him cute. I'm gonna sit in that compliment for like 10 years, as dudes do, because we don't get those. The only compliments I get are for the homies, and those keep me going. I always see Gerald in the chat telling me I'm handsome, and that's my fuel to get through life. So, But with that, let's go ahead and get into some foreign policy, checking the latest on that. I think we may have broke our Dave Rubin streak, which is kind of wild, which in a certain twisted, humor in an ironic sort of way. Obviously, it's not like it's the inverse. Like it's almost befuddling that they're not bombing Gaza today. But we'll get to, or they hadn't bombed Gaza yesterday. But we'll get to that. But let's kind of check up on the latest of what's going on with the Iran war, the ongoing diplomacy. Is J.D. Vance going to get his way? Are they going to usher him into political relevance once again? Are we going to get our gas prices down? We'll see. But here's we're pulling this once again. Remind you guys from antiwar.com. This is a piece from Dave DeCamp. It says, an historic first, Congress passes concurrent war powers resolution to end Iran war. So we got that. This is a first. The Senate on Tuesday approved a House-passed concurrent war powers resolution directing President Trump to end hostilities against Iran, marking the first time Congress has approved a concurrent resolution under the 1973 War Powers Act directing the termination of an unauthorized war. Previous years, Congress has passed joint resolutions directing the president to end wars, such as the 2019 bill to end U.S. support for the Saudi war in Yemen, which President Trump vetoed at the time, but a concurrent resolution doesn't require the president's signature. Section 5C of the 1973 War Powers Act states that any time that U.S. armed forces are engaged in hostilities outside the territory of the United States, its possessions and territories without a declaration of war or specific statutory authorization, such forces shall be removed by the President if the Congress so directs by concurrent resolution. The bill passed the Senate on Tuesday by a 50-48 vote, with 4 Republicans, Senator Rand Paul, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Bill Cassidy voting in favor. Senator John Fetterman was the only Democrat to oppose the effort, and Republican Senators Mitch McConnell and Dave McCormick were not present for the vote. Trump administration officials will likely claim the vote is meaningless since there is currently a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran as they negotiate a deal under the MOU. But proponents of the war powers effort say the passage of the concurrent resolution means the administration is now legally bound not to restart the war without congressional authorization. Representative Ro Khanna, who sponsored the legislation in the House, told the Lever earlier this month that if the resolution passed the Senate, he could work with House counsel to urge leadership to bring a court case to enforce Iran war powers resolution. While the U.S. and Iran have been engaged in negotiations, Trump has continued issuing threats against Iran and has maintained forces in the region to potentially reimpose a blockade or restart the bombing campaign. So I know this could come in clutch. I don't know. I don't really know what would happen. I mean, at the end of the day, if Trump says, back to war, then they're going to bomb. Now, what does that mean? I mean, maybe that would be a question for friend of the show, Tyler. Although I doubt he's probably that learned on the specifics of legalities of whatever niche thing this is. But I know I'd be interested to see what would happen. Obviously, I'd prefer we just cut the shit. But even if they does get back into it, it sounds like there's probably some sort of legal avenue here to perhaps be able to restrain him. I don't know. We'll see. Moving on, kind of more to perhaps this deal actually could be happening or something going on here. Here is the way they're framing the whole, giving them the money thing. Because you remember, Trump's always been kind of, thrown shade on the Iran deal, the JCPOA, Obama, Iran deal. And it's always kind of this, especially the pallets of cash. Oh, they gave him pallets of cash. We played recently on the show, though, Trump, a clip where he was kind of, his tunes changed, talking about how, hey, this is their money. Like, we took their money, and hey, we can't just be taking people's money. Like, how, that's not going to look good on the world. That's not good for the dollar. Like, if we're not, we're not, essentially owning up to our, fiscal responsibilities here, or we're not being good partners on the world stage and acting under, norms, that people should act under. This is going to hurt, damage the dollar. People are going to want to trade in that. So we're getting even more so. Now they found a way to float this. This is how they're floating it. He's claiming that unfrozen Iranian funds will be placed in an escrow account that is controlled by the U.S. So I guess that's the workaround to float it to where it's like we didn't literally give them cash to somehow make this better to sell. But hey, at the end of the day, whatever it takes to be able to sell this, cool. Let's fucking make it happen. So that's the plan right now. So some forward motion in that regard. So hell yeah. I'm cool with that. Then also on the Iran side of things, apparently they're establishing a joint committee to manage Hormuz shipping with the state of Oman, which is kind of like a neutral state between us and Iran. So this could be a good thing. Let's read a little bit of this. I'm interested to see, because I know there also was on the flip side of this, I know there were these weird threats earlier on from the U.S. towards Oman, and this is when it seemed like Oman and Iran were maybe angling for controlling the strait together and putting tolls on it, and that's when the U.S. there was multiple threats I think made at that point, kind of like even explicitly at Oman, kind of like the fuck they will, which was weird at the time because a lot of people thought maybe like this was probably some sort of maybe like a third option they were probably exploring to try to make it happen type deal. But no, they weren't too happy about that. Made that pretty clear. But we're getting a similar such thing here, but I'm assuming probably without the toll stuff, at least for now, because I know the initial wording was like during the 60-day period, the tolls will not be in place, but it seems to imply the tolls could go back on later. But either way, I'm just curious to see like how all the parties involved are handling this. This could be interpreted as a positive development. This could be interpreted by the U.S. powers as some sort of angling towards, something in the future. But I don't know. Let's read a little bit of this. In a joint statement issued on 23 June, the Sultanate of Oman and the Islamic Republic of Iran formally agreed to establish a joint committee to manage the Strait of Hormuz and reaffirm their roles as the primary guardians of the waterway. Following high-level talks in Muscat between Sultan Haitham bin Tariq and an Iranian delegation led by Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf and Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister, the two countries agreed to establish a joint committee to oversee shipping management, specifically regarding maritime services and costs, while consulting with other coastal and regional partners to ensure comprehensive coordination. The Sultanate of Oman and the Islamic Republic of Iran, as the two coastal states bordering the Strait of Hormuz, reaffirmed their steadfast commitment to ensuring safe passage through the strait in full conformity with the relevant provisions of international law, while underscoring their sovereignty and sovereign rights over their respective territorial waters in the strait. It added the two sides also deliberated on matters related to the strait in accordance with the provisions set forth in the Islamabad MOU. The Sultanate of Oman and the Islamic Republic of Iran affirmed that all arrangements pertaining to the Strait of Hormuz must fully respect the sovereignty and sovereign rights of the two strait states. Trying to see if there's anything from U.S., if they had any thoughts, if there are any responses. Just to make sure there's no negative signaling coming from the U.S. side. Not seeing anything there, so I don't know. I think this should be a positive. I think now this could end up kind of a way to sneak into inserting the tolls later, and they already have all the infrastructure in place. But I don't necessarily particularly care too much whether they have the tolls or not. I'm just more like concerned that the possibility that could blow up a deal in the sense that Trump gets flustered, acts a fool about it, and this becomes an issue. So. But looks like a positive development to me. But one negative development, murder over in Africa. Nothing new there. We got some more Somali coverage. Apparently, we got an update on the amount. Apparently, AFRICOM hit Dave DeCamp back up and corrected his count. Said, "Well, there, bud. You didn't quite have enough. You were a little low. I guess Dave had a count of 67." And they're saying, no, we've launched 68 airstrikes in Somalia. Don't put some respect on our name. The command told Anti-War in an email on Tuesday, putting it on track to beat the record for annual U.S. airstrikes in the country that the Trump administration set last year at 124, which I think had beat their previous record by like double. And then that record also beats, I believe, Bush, Clinton, and Biden. Or no, I'm retarded. Not Clinton. Obama, Biden, and Bush. Yeah, I don't know why I'm mixing up the presidents like an idiot. Those three combined, he beats them in drones set on Somalia combined. So, Yeah, he is the king of the drone strike, of the war over in Africa. This is your peace president, people. So that we got an update in there. 68 strikes is where they're at now. So they're well on track to beat their previous record. All right, let's check in on Lebanon. What's going on there? Looks like things have starkly died down there. So that's good, but still not quite enough. We got Israeli troops shoot and kill 2 Lebanese civilians as death toll continues to rise. This is by Jason Ditz over Anti-War. A period of relative calm on Monday gave way to Israeli troops in Nabatea el-Faqwa opening fire on a group of workers with a bulldozer who were reportedly clearing the roadways in the area, killing 2 and wounding 2 others. The IDF declared them terrorists. News report from the Lebanese Health Ministry reported 17 deaths in the past 24 hours. Though as yet it's not clear where all those occurred. Their overall war death toll rose substantially in the past week, up to 4,192 killed, despite the fact there was already ceasefire in place. And another ceasefire was declared on top of that Friday evening after scores were killed. Another incident early on Tuesday morning saw IDF troops open fire to scare off a group of mourners heading to the cemetery for burial in Hadath in Bent Jabil district. The mourners were being accompanied by the Lebanese army at the time. So great, they're firing at mourners of their dead that are being escorted by the Lebanese army. So just that indignant. The IDF troops, however, fired warning shots to chase them off because the cemetery was presently the location of 3 Merkava battle tanks and an IDF military bulldozer. Great, so they can't bury their dead because that's where they're keeping their tanks and their bulldozer destroy all the buildings there. The IDF also reported a strike in Kfar Tebnit, and Israeli drones dropped stun grenades on someone near At al-Jabal. They also dropped a stun grenade on an empty vehicle in Barachit. Negotiations are scheduled to begin today for yet another ceasefire, and this was written yesterday, so when he's saying today, he means yesterday. Though Israeli officials made clear they will neither agree to withdraw from Lebanon nor stop attacking Lebanon, so it's likely to go about as well as the last several did. Though the live fire attacks by Israel led to some accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire and the occupation of Lebanese territories violating their sovereignty, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar insisted in comments that they view Iran and Hezbollah as wholly to blame and that they are the ones violating Lebanon's sovereignty, apparently by giving Israel a pretext to occupy them. That totally makes sense, right? Just great. So, okay. It's less. That's cool, I guess. So they're down to 2, but they're not supposed to be doing that at all. And they're signaling over and over and over again while somehow not doing as much that they're like, we really want to do a lot. So, I mean, I don't know. We got more here. Lebanese president and Hezbollah leader both call for full Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon. As well they should. So Joseph Aoun, the Lebanese president, and Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qassem both issued calls on Tuesday for a full Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon, which Iran says is required for full implementation of the U.S.-Iran MOU. As the 5th round of talks between Israel and Lebanon began in Washington on Tuesday, Aoun said that he rejected Israel's occupation and other foreign interference, seen as a reference to Iran and support for Hezbollah. We accept nothing less than an end to the Israeli occupation, at the same time the fall of foreign tutelage, because our only option is our national sovereignty and our sole wager is on the Lebanese state, Aoun said. Lebanese president also expressed hope that the talks in Washington will lead to the full restoration of Lebanon's sovereignty over every grain of its soil. In his statement, Qassem said that Hezbollah's resistance has reached the stage of breaking the Israeli project and that Israel would have no choice but to leave southern Lebanon. We now have a ceasefire. The withdrawal must take place according to a timetable. Israel has no choice but to fully withdraw from all Lebanese territory without retaining an inch, he said, adding that once Israel withdraws, the Lebanese army can deploy south of the Litani River. During talks between U.S. and Iranian officials in Switzerland on Sunday, the two sides agreed to establish a deconfliction cell aimed at ending the war in Lebanon. Netanyahu's continued to insist Israeli troops will not withdraw from Lebanon and will maintain freedom of action. Israel has reduced the intensity of its attacks in Lebanon, though the IDF has killed at least 2 people in the country on Tuesday, which Hezbollah slammed as a truce violation. According to Al Jazeera, Mahmoud Kamati, deputy head of Hezbollah's political council, warned that Hezbollah would respond to Israeli violations and wouldn't return to a pre-war situation when Israel launched near-daily attacks in Lebanon and Hezbollah didn't respond. Israel constantly violated a November 2024 ceasefire deal, killing hundreds before the start of the U.S.-Israeli bombing campaign against Iran on February 28th of this year. Hezbollah fired rockets into Israel in response to the killing of Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, marking the first Hezbollah attack on Israel since the November 2024 deal was signed. Israel used it as a pretext to dramatically escalate in Lebanon, and its invasions and strikes have killed more than 4,000 Lebanese since March 2nd. And popping in over at Gaza, like I said, I don't think there were any bombings. I don't even think there was a death over yesterday. But we have a couple pieces to go through on Gaza, checking in what's happening over there. While it's died down to seemingly nobody dying, over the past 24 hours, we may have a little bit of a sinister prognosis for what is to come. So, maybe prognosis, is that the wrong word? Diagnosis? Oh, whatever. You know what I mean. Expectations of what's to come. It's not looking good. Head of Israel's National Security Council convenes meeting on Gaza ethnic cleansing plan. That's great. The new head of Israel's National Security Council, Shmuel Ben Ezra, convened Israeli attacks for a meeting on Tuesday to discuss a potential ethnic cleansing plan for Gaza, which Israeli officials call voluntary emigration, according to a report from Haaretz. While Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz recently declared that the ethnic cleansing plan would be implemented at the right time, there have been no countries willing to cooperate with Israel on the forced removal of the Palestinian population of Gaza, and according to sources speaking with Haaretz, that remains to be the case. The report said that during the meeting, which was attended by IDF and Shin Bet officials, Mossad officials said that there are still no countries willing to take in the Palestinians and that there were no developments regarding the removal of Palestinians from Gaza. The report suggested the meeting and revival of the push to cleanse Gaza of its Palestinian population could be related, so this is key right here, to the U.S.-Iran MOU and the U.S. request for Israel to de-escalate in Lebanon. So this is what many people have been saying for a while now, and this is kind of just what happens anytime Israel dials back or attempts to give the perception of dialing back anywhere else. They almost always inevitably pick up somewhere else. So, and I mean, this isn't the first time we've surmised, or there's even been stories or reports of when, we've gotten Israel to back off or seem to back off from some other area, and the supposed, unsaid deal behind the scenes is like, okay, well, but you'll leave us alone over here, right? Well, it looks like perhaps this could be the case here, and that's completely, unfortunately, unsurprising. So, and just flat out evil, but great. The report reads, a defense official who spoke with the Reds could not rule out the revival of this plan is connected to quiet agreements reached recently between Netanyahu and Trump, constituting compensation for painful concessions that Washington imposed on Israel as part of its deal with Iran. While Gaza still hasn't made progress on removing Palestinians from Gaza, the IDF occupies more than 60% of Gaza and continues to take more territory in violation of the U.S.-backed ceasefire deal. Israel hasn't faced any consequences from the U.S. for taking the territory or for continuing daily attacks in Gaza, which have killed more than 1,000 Palestinians since the truce agreement was signed in October, which, I mean, I remember I've seen, J.D. Vance multiple times, essentially lauding the peace deal over in Gaza as if something's happening. Meanwhile, we have over 1,000 people dying under the supposed ceasefire. Absolutely ridiculous. And to add insult to injury, we got the UN Commission is reporting that apparently they're deliberately targeting children in Gaza. So, pretty wild one. A little warning, we're about to scroll through a pretty awful photo to look at. A UN fact-finding body set up to investigate potential war crimes in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories has published a report that concluded Israeli forces deliberately targeted children in Gaza, resulting in genocide and crimes against humanity. The report, published by the Independent International Commission of Inquiry on the Occupied Palestinian Territory in Israel, found that from October 7th to 2023 to October 7th, 2025, Israeli forces killed at least 20,179 children and wounded 44,143 in Gaza. So to repeat that, that's a 2-year period where over 23,000 children were killed and over 40,000 were wounded. Like, just astounding. I mean, you break that in half if you want to understand that by year. So by year in Gaza, they killed 10,000 children and over 20,000 children were wounded. And so even when we look at these death tolls, but a lot of people, we forget about the wounded tolls. I mean, how many of those are no longer going to have a leg? Like, they're going to have lifetime problems. Like, I mean, they're going to be disfigured. Just awful shit. Awful shit. The evidence shows that Palestinian children have been deliberately targeted and killed by Israeli security forces, says Sarinevasan Maladabahar. God, he needs to change his name. Muraladahar, the chair of the commission, according to Middle East Eye. The report said the Israeli forces have targeted children in two distinct ways: directly by shooting at their vital organs using precision weapons such as quadcopters and snipers, and through the use of high-impact weapons causing widespread and systematic attacks on residential buildings, schools, and displacement camps crowded with children. The report detailed other ways Israel has inflicted harm on children, including through starvation and attacks on hospitals that disrupted neonatal care. The commission said that it found that the killing of and serious bodily injury or bodily and mental harm inflicted upon Palestinian children was part of a strategy to destroy the biological continuity and future existence of the Palestinian group in Gaza. The report said the commission concluded Israeli authorities and Israeli security forces have committed the crime of genocide in Gaza by killing and causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, including Palestinian children. They also noted the targeting of children has continued despite the so-called ceasefire deal that was signed in October 2025. Even after the October 2025 ceasefire, children continue to be killed and seriously injured, with continued disregard by Israel for the ceasefire and for the protection owed to Palestinian children under international law. According to the latest numbers, since the deal was signed, they're up to 1,027 killed and 3,280 wounded. So I don't think there were any strikes. So hey, give Dave Rubin his due. It's been like weeks now. I think it was at least 11 TMDs. And finally, Gaza or IDF didn't bomb Gaza. So wow, it's a complete inverse of what Dave Rubin thought. It's more astounding that they didn't bomb somebody than when they do at this point. But with that, let's go ahead and pop in the chat, say some hellos, some good mornings, and then we will get into the first titled segment of the day, Thiel Takeover. Let's check in with you guys. All right, not much chat in there, huh? Okie dokie. All right. Wow, Qbert saying, I do not find you attractive whatsoever. What is with you, Qbert? Like, I get one compliment and you just feel the need, just insert yourself here and say you don't find me handsome. It's okay. You don't have to. That's what I have Gerald for. I see him in the chat every now and then. He says, dang, you're cute. But all right, whatever. I get it. It's all good, dude. You don't gotta find me cute, but you don't gotta tell me I'm ugly. Jesus Christ, man. All right, let's get into Thiel Takeover. To kind of start it off, I guess maybe not quite on target of what we want to drive at in this segment, but kinda. I guess it's a little bit of fucking, hey, I hate to say a toe-to-so, but a toe-to-so. We covered between Already Dead yesterday and TMD yesterday, and I think maybe even talked about 4. And I've kind of made some commentary about how interesting this political shakeup is, this Iran deal, and then you add to it, we have this like big announcement by Tucker and MTG that like we're no longer supporting the GOP, and then we have this like essentially the standard GOP is like created JD into like this sort of heel in a sense, but like for normal people, you're like, yeah, that's like, of course we want to not be in war anymore. That'd be cool. But anyways, we got the like essentially JD's path being forged for him in this moment. He's kind of also like it's their way to kind of allow JD to take the reins in this, and it's like kind of I guess even if this Iran thing does go forward and it somehow ends in a positive-ish, at least compared to what it could go. Obviously, it's gonna no matter what, it's gonna end up in a worse situation than when we started. But no matter what, I really do think JD is going to be able to walk away from this, politically speaking, from a pretty good position. Like, so if he nails this thing, it's like, hell yeah, dude, look at JD. Like, he kind of took point in this. Wow, that was pretty cool. He somehow managed to pull all these people together, pull this deal off, yada, yada, yada. Even if it doesn't, though, it's people will see this as like, oh, well, he kind of led the charge in this. They'll be able to, like, going forward, position him as a guy who was angling for peace. That's what he would have wanted to do. But, we have this old GOP that's in the way. And JD can kind of be the statesman that kind of keeps his one leg or one foot in both sides. He kind of gets to be this face of the new GOP while not overtly condemning the old GOP. Maybe some figures here and there, obviously, maybe more on the nose, like neocon sort of figures, but obviously you would never see him, mouth a bad word about Trump, probably. But he'll be he has the people like the Tuckers, the MTGs, the Massies, who are willing to do that. So Tucker's like, JD kind of seats himself perfectly in between, kind of taking, the positive benefits from both to some regard, kind of allow him to kind of needle the situation. And we've got the future going on with JD. It's like there was a lot of people, myself included, it was looking pretty up for Marco to be like the guy to follow up Donald going forward, to be like the chosen one, because JD was just like being tied around his neck, all of the awful things Trump was doing. But this Iran thing, well, there's just one thing. And I mean, I think most people in this show have the memory of more than a goldfish, and we can look back and go, whoa, JD was being a little bitch. He was stumping for all this shit just like 5 minutes ago. Most people don't pay attention to that. So unfortunately, and because the Iran deal is such a big deal, it's like kind of like the thing. I do think it has enough political capital to really be able to kind of reignite this political project, I guess you could say. And we're kind of seeing the pieces form around it. Like I said just a bit ago, Tucker, I'm no longer willing to support the GOP. Like they don't even support America. And you get to have the Tuckers, the MTGs, the Tulsis, like we talked about yesterday, the Massies. They're kind of sitting in the wings, ready to fill whatever role they need to fill to support JD's run going forward. Obviously, one of those people likely filling in a VP role. Obviously Tucker, you're likely kind of being the propaganda, side of it, but just kind of all the things falling into place. They kind of form the rough new group of like politicians fitting that mold. And you'll probably see like an accompanying similar such movement probably coming from the left. If I wouldn't guess, it's already been kind of happening. Either way, obviously, it sounds like I'm kind of selling JD to you, like, oh, this guy's pretty dope, right? Sort of, not really. I mean, obviously, he's preferable to Marco Rubio. I'm not telling you to vote for this guy. Never forget he is Peter Thiel's flashlight. So, like, obviously, we have all these other things going on. But I just wanted to point out these things are forming around. Here's a clip of Tucker, further cementing that. But I just wanted to kind of a little bit of jumping off that commentary I've had for a couple of days, and then we'll get more into the specific Thiel angling. But obviously, it's all connected. We know JD's Thiel's boy. Tucker's son, I believe, worked on was either like his chief of staff or like one of his top staffers or something for JD. So, I mean, this is a very incestuous group. We kind of knew this was happening. But either way, here's this clip. They're all connected. Watch this.
Well, will you support JD Vance? I think he's great compared to Rubio.
Obviously, he's great compared to Rubio. Obviously. Look, I'll support the best person. I always have liked JD Vance enormously. I think he's really smart. He's in an impossible situation. I think he's doing his best. I strongly disapprove of, obviously, as I've said 100 times, of this war and of what.
I love how Trump and others have been blaming Vance when he's volunteering to go stop it, when internally it's confirmed he tried to stop it just like you did. I love how the guy that was right, he's the bad guy now and the war is his fault.
Oh, it's the people who tell the truth who are punished. It's the people who try to do for selfless motives the right thing who are punished.
Yeah, see how they're reframing it already. So he's the good guy in the administration, making the good things happen. Just ignore when the bad things happen. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I mean, it is fair. They put him in this weird situation. To some degree, it's understandable because people go, oh, you're the VP. You can't outwardly speak out against the president. But I don't know. It just seems not enough in this age, to me at least. But all right, let's dig into, get more into the Thiel takeover side of things. Going to go dig a little bit into kind of following up the dialogue. We've got some responses from people, kind of, oh yeah, I was at dialogue and it was like yada, yada, yada. So we have Ted Cruz here. We got a little clip of him being confronted about it. It seems like he's sweating a little bit. So let's see how he's framing this situation.
Senator, your name appears on a membership list for Peter Thiel's Secret Society Dialogue. This was recently reported. Do you know what that is, or what's your level of involvement with the organization?
Oh, sure. They hold a conference, I think, every year, and I went to a couple of them more than a decade ago. I haven't been in a long time. It's an interesting conference.
There's one in August. Are you going to that in Dublin?
No,
okay.
You get different business leaders that come together, and they have, I guess, the purpose of dialogue when it was started was to have Republicans and Democrats talking to each other.
Okay.
And so as I said, I went about a decade ago. I had some interesting conversations.
How close are the people within there? Are you guys friends, or I mean?
I don't know who attends now. I haven't been in many years.
You think there's any conflict of interest given it's run by one of the biggest CEOs in private industry?
What would the conflicts be to holding a conference and having people talk to each other?
Senator, it's just people talking to each other, guys. Don't worry about it. Just people talking to each other. It's where the left and the right, they come to talk and put aside those silly labels and just talk as people. That's all this is. We come together in kumbaya. Let's see. We got Joseph Gordon-Levitt was one of the people who attended. We got a little. Let's see what he had to say. He addressed reports that he'd taken part in this conference, admitted he attended it, but said he never met Thiel. So let's see what he said. I understand why people have questions and are suspicious. Some of the headlines and posts circulating about this are alarming, if not bizarre, so let me clarify. I've been to 2 dialogue conferences, but I do not know Peter Thiel. I've never met him. I've never spoken with him or his representatives. I've never seen him at an event. From what I've read about his views, we are political and ideological opposites. At the dialogue conference I've been to, there were a wide variety of people with a wide variety of opinions. Some I agreed with, some I didn't. I can't speak to every person named in the reporting, but my experience was not of a single ideological gathering. Over the last couple of years, I've been focused on trying to make a positive impact on how the future unfolds, especially when it comes to tech and AI. Part of that work means forming relationships with all kinds of people, trying to understand their perspective and trying to get them to understand mine. Sometimes it's productive to engage with those we oppose. So, okay, just kind of a nice way of floating that about. It's funny, I just noticed I was scrolling through replies real quick. This person say they don't believe him. Apparently, here's him campaigning on AIPAC, censoring freedom of speech. Where they're asking for the repeal of Section 230. What? So that's something. Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of these ones I've seen kind of be this guy. They march out for political projects here and there. Like, hey, we need somebody to push something. Yeah, here's him. Let's watch this clip just for shits and gigs, just to get a feel of who this guy is. Who is this person you're getting this information from? What's he about? Here he is.
I understand what Section 230 did to bring about the birth of the internet. That was 30 years ago. And I also understand how the internet has changed since then. Because back then, message boards and other websites with user-generated content, they really were more like telephone carriers. They were neutral platforms. But that's not how things work anymore. Today, the internet is dominated by a small handful of these gigantic businesses that are not at all neutral, but instead algorithmically amplify whatever gets the most attention and maximizes ad revenue. And we know what happens when we let these engagement optimization algorithms be the lens that we see the world through. We get a mental health crisis, especially amongst young people. We get a rise in extremism and a rise in conspiracy theories. And then, of course, we get these echo chambers. These algorithms, they amplify the demonization of the other side so badly that we can't even have a civil conversation. It seems like we can't agree on anything. And yet, one of the only things that the American public seems to agree broadly on right now, left, right, and center, Republicans, Democrats, independents, we all agree that we don't trust these big tech businesses, and we don't like the influence they're having on our lives and the lives of our kids. Well, if we want to do something about that, the right first step is to sunset Section 230. It's not going to solve everything, but it is the right first.
All right, so he's trying to get rid of 230, which 230. It's a sunset Section 230 Act introduced by AIPAC-funded Senators Lindsey Graham and Dick Durbin. It's sponsored by AIPAC-funded Senators Chuck Grassley, Sheldon Whitehouse, Josh Hawley, Amy Klobuchar, Marsha Blackburn, and Richard Blumenthal. To eliminate internet freedom by repealing Section 230 allows the U.S. government banning TikTok to suppress. Never mind. I read that wrong. And the move follows the U.S. government banning TikTok to suppress criticism. I'm just trying to see if in here if it gave us more. Trying to give an explanation of what Section 230 is, because I forget the specifics when it comes to Section 230. I think it's like the difference between whether like whether they're considered like a publisher or not, I guess. So the idea being like I forget what it's called, a publisher or something else. And I think Section 230 is what gives like protections to social media companies and other companies that like they're not publishing this. Like say for example with like the Libertarian Institute, for example, or even antiwar.com. Like if they're publishing something, to some degree there's like an implicit like endorsement, obviously. Like obviously it doesn't necessarily mean they believe. Obviously there's all sorts of different publications that may publish different ideas or this or that, but there's like a general idea of some sort of endorsement. Like you're putting this out, this is part of your publication, you to some degree own this. I don't know, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that, but that's my understanding. And then obviously you have like then social media companies, they're not held responsible, because it is ridiculous to go like to hold, a say Twitter accountable for like all of its users for things it does, like even if it is like criminal. Now if you're able to like prove that like somehow X knew about it and they didn't act, like maybe there's an argument there, but like the idea that like they're supposed to be, it's the same thing as like, this has actually happened where gun manufacturers have, I think in the past, been successfully sued, which is kind of terrifying. I forget the specifics, the legal, what was going on there, but same idea, the idea of like gun manufacturers being able to be sued for their gun, or I guess it depends on what it is. Like if obviously if it's like a defect in the gun, but like if it's somebody like goes and uses a gun for a mass shooting or something, it's like you can't really hold them liable. That's unreasonable. That makes no sense. That had nothing to do with them. So the push at getting into Section 230 would to be make it so that they're essentially viewed as publishers. So this would give them far more of ability to actually apply pressure on the Twitter, Facebook, whatever the given thing is in this situation, to be able to put more pressure on them since they no longer have these Section 230 protections. So obviously not good. It is kind of funny how he frames this as like, oh, herder, well, the big techno billionaires, they're trying to get you to say all the mean thingies, and that's why we need to censor you. What a weird inversion of something. Meanwhile, this guy's going to fucking Thiel friggin' sucking fucks or whatever. Obviously, I'm being silly. We're thinking he probably is correct. It probably is fairly sort of tame, somewhat. Like, I mean, that is kind of, I guess, sort of what I was getting at earlier, like the sanitization of like what these things are. They're like, yeah, this is a secret group of the most powerful people meeting, with vague assurances of privacy. You're like, you're kind of talking about like world issues. Like, you could sanitize that, but it kind of sounds like a pretty creepy little secret society you have there. So anyways, just pointing out, this is who that guy is. That's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. These sort of things he's pushed in the past. What else? See if there's anything else worthwhile poking about in these replies. All right, let's move on to the next person. We got Ezra Klein here. He's a journalist, columnist for the New York Times, host of the Ezra Klein podcast. I thought he had some other publication he ran or something. But here's his takeaway, or here's his explanation of it, because he was one of the people there as well. There's enough people have asked me about the Peter Thiel dialogue story that I think it's worth saying what it is, or at least what I saw it to be. So Dialogue is a conference. I went once in 2018 and once in 2022. No one ever asked me to keep it or my presence a secret. My understanding was Thiel was one of its founders, but no longer involved by the time I went. I never saw or talked to him in connection with Dialogue, nor did I see any of the other names I heard mentioned, like Ted Cruz or Elon Musk or Joseph Gordon-Levitt or Jared Kushner. Dialogue was not sold to me as a bunch of big names, which is part of why I went. I don't need to go to a conference to hear what Ted Cruz thinks. You could be a dialogue member, but I wasn't. I don't think joining got you much except guaranteed invitations to future dialogues. There were occasional dinners and webinars, but I never went to one. I would not have described it as a secret or a society. The panels were largely self-organized, so people would propose panels and hold them. I went to one on being a working parent, and another on whether crypto had any real use cases, another on how to accelerate scientific breakthroughs. Usually have 8 or 10 people in a room. It was all very TED Talk adjacent. 2018, I found it very optimistic with an idealistic hackerish vibe. In 2022, I found the conversations and vibes more curdled and resentful. I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't go back. That did prove a pretty good signal of where text politics were going, though. Maybe I should have paid more attention. That said, Dialogue was a pretty ideologically diverse crowd. I met some people there who were extremely far left and far right. I met some real eccentrics and weirdos. I appreciate that about it. I'm a journalist. I go to a lot of things in the hopes of getting to know people, hearing new ideas, finding podcast guests, etc. Being at something does not mean I endorse it or everyone at it or everyone who organized and founded it. I try to go to things where I don't share the politics and perspectives of the crowd for obvious reasons. I'm surprised how credulous some people have been on the story. You have to believe some wild things about the world to believe Julian Castro and Peter Thiel are somehow engaged in a common project. Secret societies, I imagine, need a lot of trust to function, but the people being named here do not trust each other and do not have aligned agendas. So that's what I saw at Dialogue. I'll just end by saying it's a weird experience to have a conference you haven't thought about for years become the center of a new conspiracy theory. So, okay. Interesting. Here's one person. Let's see what they have to say. Some of the bigger replies here. It says, no offense, but maybe it's because you were put in a low-tier breakout room. You're a journalist. Nothing wrong with that. Secondly, what we are looking at in the messages, Dialogue looks like a feeder system for the Epstein network. You guys might have been clueless, but Thiel looks like he's supplying Epstein the people to compromise using this club. It's pretty obvious. And then you got Hoffman, who is CEO of SafeGraph/LifeLamp, which collects data, and Thiel runs surveillance, which brings us to why Thiel Dialogue is a weird private invite-only network co-funded dating app, matchmaking system for its members, aka Compromat profiling tool. App collects data on sexual preferences, relationship status, and psychological vulnerabilities. Exactly the kind of data Epstein needed to identify targets for compromise. It looks like Epstein was being informed of Dialogue's operations, topics, and attendee lists. They kept outreaching to him in invites 2012 to 2014, even though he's been convicted 2008 sex offenses involving a minor. Did they not think that adding an offender to a guest list would bring an immense negative publicity to the event? Of course not, because it's obvious the pedos at the top completely have a different set of rules than the rest of the world. And then here's the tweet, or one of the tweets in the, I believe this is from the Epstein files. Yeah, this is from Ian Osborne, or back and forth between Ian Osborne and Jeffrey Epstein, and also Orrin Hoffman in here, I think. Let me see. It says, you've qualified for a significant discount on the retweet fee. Just a bunch of stuff about Dialogue. It says, you were invited to join us at Dialogue 2014, a 2-day bipartisan retreat. You were nominated by Dialogue, yada, yada. Trying to see. I'm trying to understand. It looks like you got forwarded it. Okay, yeah, you got forwarded this. From Orrin Hoffman, and so the Orrin Hoffman was the one who sent the invite, which I'm assuming this might be related to Hoffman, the other, I can't remember his name. Anyways, so Orrin Hoffman's the one who sent this invite out to the Ian Osborne, and so what we're looking at here is the Ian Osborne forwarded this to Jeffrey Epstein. Saying, same shit, Peter doesn't even attend. I will tell him that he should stop them using his name. So, okay. So I guess that's just them saying that, yeah, he doesn't show up to these. I don't know why they chose to choose that. Okay, whatever. I think that guy may have been getting a little bit over his skis there, just using that as like somehow making his point. But either way, interesting take. Let's check in on another person who's been here. This is Ayala, who is just like, how would I even describe her? This is how she describes herself: horror lord, survey artist, sample size queen, way too earnest. Let me see if we go to her page. Maybe her pinned tweet will give us a better idea of who she is. Pinned It says, we're running low on SlutCon tickets for September already. I think we're probably going to sell out normal prices pretty early. If you want to attend, you should figure out your stuff now. So there you go, guys. If you want to go to SlutCon, you can go over to Ayala's a Twitter account, at Ayala_girl, if you want to go to SlutCon. So just give you a little bit of a vibe of what this chick's about. She's also very much in like the Silicon Valley sort of thing. I forget some of the stunts she pulled. I think she like does these weird things where like I just vaguely recall they're like I swear I remember one time like something where like she said her boyfriend or something set up like a gangbang for her, and then they like documented like every little weird detail about it, like in a weird like analytic. It was weird. I mean, she's done weird shit. I don't really know how to describe her. She's kind of caught up in that like same, but like in a weird sexual sort of way. Weird. Just I don't even know what to say, but weird. So that's who that's coming from. She'll actually come back up here in a moment. She's saying, I've been going to dialogue for years. It's cool, but not insane. The reporters are making it sound way more sketchy than it is. I mean, she is super sketchy. So, I mean, like, we'll come back to some sort of shit she did. Her name will come up again here in a moment. Let's pop over to Eric Weinstein. He got all uppity about this. He quote tweeted the Ezra Klein response to this. So Eric says, this is pathetic and weak. I've been to dialogue multiple times. Peter Thiel invites me. He remains a close friend. I enjoyed dialogue just as I have enjoyed many other private gatherings. What I saw at dialogue was not immoral, illegal, and is no one's business. I'd go again. Clear. Always such a weird little like tough guy when you're just like, dude, you were like, I don't know, you're not. Because the internet types need a hobby. He says, unless something is happening at dialogue that I didn't see, this is close to a pure moral panic. One more internet story voluntarily involving real people. I have run sessions / tables at dialogue. This is pathetic. Feel free to unfollow. Well, I would have never follow you. So, problem solved. Well, let's pop in on who this guy is. Eric Weinstein, as I always like to remind you guys, he is Peter Thiel's J. He is literally his money guy. I don't know if he currently is anymore. I don't know if he still manages it, but I know for a while he was managing the funds. I'm not seeing in his Twitter bio, so I guess maybe it's not anymore. But let's just talk a little bit about him. Here is from ZEI_squirrel. This is Eric Weinstein, a case study of how Israeli Zionist institutions fabricate credentials for their grifter, fraud, propaganda asset. He flunks out of Harvard and fails to get his degree, then immediately runs to Israel and goes to the shitty grift Hebrew University of Harvard. Or of Jerusalem, sorry, I misspoke. Hebrew University of Jerusalem, where he is given a postdoc position by lying about having a doctoral degree from Harvard. They don't even bother checking whether he has a degree. They just take him at his word, which is, of course, never done in any actual real university or your local community college. When the lie is exposed, what does Hebrew University do? Do they expel and blacklist him for the vile, depraved, fraud, con artist he is? Of course not. Hebrew University then goes to Harvard and scolds them and demands they give him the degree without fulfilling the basic requirements for it. And of course, being deathly afraid of their Zionist paymasters, Harvard immediately complies. Weinstein is then handpicked by Zionist Mossad asset Palantir co-funder Peter Thiel for funding and promotion, and all he does is tour the podcast circuit to demand unending loyalty to his precious Jewish supremacist Israeli death cult, while lying and obfuscating the fact that Epstein is an asset of the Mossad and worked alongside his own paymaster, Thiel, which is 100% true. Also, there's a clip. I'll go ahead and give this a retweet. It's a little bit on the longer side, but I figured you guys might want to check it out. Here's this. It's like a 7-minute long clip. So if you check out my Twitter, it'll be one of the more recent retweets. But it's this. It's from this Twitter, from this YouTube account. What is it called? Who are they called? Sorry, I figured to show their name real quick so I can give some ups to who it is. Professor Dave Explains, I guess is who this is. So it is someone coming from an academic side. So this is like an academic explaining to you like how essentially Weinstein managed to lie and grift his way into this weird academic place he is now. So if you pay attention to Weinstein, like pretty much his whole weird shtick is he goes on these podcasts and and he tries to philosophize and talk about these big, grand ideas and stuff. And really, if you are someone who's not easily dazzled by profundities and nonsensical nonsense, and not just like big words and go, ooh, then you do kind of look at him and go, what the fuck are you talking about? And you can tell he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. There's plenty of academics who have repeated the same thing. He's always tried to push this idea of this like theory of everything shit or something when it's fucking retarded. But anyways, this is who he is. This is a guy telling you dialogue's no big deal. The King J over here, Eric Weinstein. Yeah, no big deal. Don't worry. Don't look over here. Don't look behind the curtain. Well, there might be something to the idea of like maybe it's like not as sinister, maybe not be the right word, or as salacious or as juicy as some people say. Maybe it really is just like a group of people getting together. I wouldn't be least surprised if it is some sort of feeder group to feed into some sort of other thing. I mean, the matchmaking stuff, there's like in multiple of these conventions, they have weird sex, meetings to talk about sex. And so it is like it is very concerning. They're like, are you like profiling these people? Or are you accumulating compromat on them? What's going on here? Obviously makes me concerned. Who knows? Maybe it's just something these weird elites are into. But it does seem like even if it is just like this one's no big deal, this isn't the only one. Here's Dave Troy. He says one of the main... he's a writer over the Washington Spectator. He says one of the main things people are getting wrong about the dialogue group is that it was Thiel's only or most important convening. Hereticon is where things get much stranger. It's a tiered network. And he's quote tweeting here a tweet from back in 2022 from the Founders Fund, which is Peter Thiel's essentially, what do you call them? Is it a venture group? I believe that's what they're called. Essentially, it's like his fund, his financial fund, essentially. I don't know how to explain it. He's a big C capitalist. That's his money. That's essentially Founders Fund. That's the group. They fund different ventures. I believe politicians and all sorts of things of the like. Lots of rumors swirl around JD Vance and their barbecues. But yeah, we talked about this last night and Already Dead. So they post in here about this fund that Founders Fund's putting on called Hereticon, a conference for thought crime. I mean, even within here, we're not going to read them all. I read a bunch of them last night and Already Dead, but to bring it back to remind you guys about Ayala, and then even then the sort of things that we're seeing in this one. This is like a Monday through Wednesday schedule they have printed out. We see UFO summoning multiple times. It's weird. How to pay for sex with, once again, that name Ayala. That's and Lacey Green. I haven't seen her in forever. What the hell wasn't that that's some old YouTube? I just now know it's her name. Lacey Green. Is that the Lacey Green I'm thinking about? Yeah, I guess she does sex education stuff now. Man, she is one of those, she's definitely one I had a weird crush on. Definitely a weird sort of cute, if that makes sense. Lacey Green. Go look up the name. You'll see what I mean. You may remember her. She was kind of a big name on YouTube back in the day. Anyways, God, I told you, I'm like a squirrel. Ayala, though, that's the weirdo, the weird Silicon Valley sex weirdo over there. Kind of always hanging out with these groups. She's the one saying, oh, it's no big deal. Well, she went to Hereticon too. She managed a group on how to pay for sex. Nothing to be concerned about there. But there's burlesque at this one too. A thing about the apocalypse. All sorts of weird stuff. But continuing on this with Dave Troy, says you'll recognize names from the Dialogue Network as well as a healthy dose of UFO promoters and Founders Fund portfolio companies. Dialogue, scouting, retreats, recruitment, Hereticon, the Sanctum Sanctorum. Students of cult dynamics will recognize that this is how to build a cult. He says totally normal things happening at Hereticon. You can see here, we showed this yesterday on Already Dead too. You go to the site, you see these weird, creepy artwork. The biblically accurate angel saying, "Be not afraid," talking about the apocalypse taking place October 28th. The next one it says Dialogue is a group for normies. The retreats are where things get serious, and Hereticon is where things get weird. And these are not the only groups. Thiel Fellows, Founders Funds, portfolio companies, etc., etc. The Secret Society idea. Ito, Thiel, and Epstein discussed spanned many networks and wasn't so secret. Not suggesting here that Hereticon is more secret than Dialogue, but really none of it was especially secret. It's just network influence with multiple interlocking groups, some low down in the funnel, others higher up. It's basic sales and marketing. As I'm asking around the very large number of people who have ever attended Dialogue event, I'm hearing that they never heard about Thiel in this context, and it felt like an in-crowd that was not mine. They only saw conveners Oren Hoffman and Rafi Grinberg. Per Epstein files, Peter does not even attend. That's how high up the funnel Dialogue is. If you want to meet the cult leader, you've got to get into the down funnel network. I wonder how many of these Daryl Cooper went to. So if you're wondering why so-and-so was networking with Peter Thiel, one possible answer was that they didn't know he was even involved, and that they were effectively part of a sales funnel for a cult without realizing it, especially if it was many years ago. 2026 participants, especially first-timers, it's hard to understand what you're thinking here unless you're down with Thiel's worldview. And of course, there are other adjacent networks, Teneo, a group funded by Thiel. Even Bayer and Leonard Leo plotted to crush liberal dominance across American life. And then there are layers and layers beyond this of public-facing and private influence networks. The idea that Dialogue is some big reveal that unlocks it all is just wrong. Just within the podcast space, there's a ton of this stuff just between Rogan, Friedman, and Bartlett, for example. Look into Gamergate, Anonymous, EtherSec, Game23, networks upon networks. In a small note, Teneo, Josh Hawley, was a founder. Leo actually came later. Fair to say that Hawley was recruited into politics much as Vance was. Okay. All right. All right. Here, per this diagram from Cult Expert, this is roughly what is going on with Thiel's influence networks in order. You got covert influence operations, Hereticon, Thiel Fellows. You got the Founders Fund, PAC activity, Teneo, Dialogue, which are the treats, and then Dialogue conferences here. And what they're showing here is a little bit of they're showing a little graph to kind of get an idea of like kind of how it funnels with these different groups into each other. Dialogue includes people from the rest of the stack, but many are incidental and are targets for grooming and recruitment further up into the structure. Okay, so we got a whole network of these things. It says just for completeness, this list of Dialogue. Okay, never mind. He's talking about the participants. We're not going to go into the specifics of the participants. We're just trying to give you the idea. There's a whole network of these. There isn't even just the one. This is nowhere near probably the tippy top of this. I'm sure they're breaking off into even smaller and smaller groups to get weirder and weirder and weirder. And unfortunately, it looks like they may have caught the ear of the youth as well. Clavicular is someone that we've talked about on the show a couple times, a few times, always in this like, kind of almost like an eye to the youth. What are the youth up to? And I gotta say, Daddy's disappointed. Clavicular, you look like a goofball now. You came on the stage like there was like a potentiality. It's like, yeah, he's young, he's foolish, he's doing silly stuff. You're like, I think he's misguided. I think he's like stuck in this like mimetic behavior as opposed to this like individualist aspiration behavior. Like I use the comparing, contrasting like Ziz for those remember the era of Ziz compared to Clavicular. You got the looks maxing with like the old Ziz like aesthetic, like essentially aiming for higher aesthetics. And in the difference being that Clavicular was more in the idea of like aspiring to what he. Like even the whole idea of looks maxing is the idea of like you're aspiring toward what other people want, what you're trying to fit a role. You're like, he even gets down to the specifics of like what is attractive, what not. He sounds like a fucking nerd when he's like, oh, and your orbital this thing is 70 degrees canted that, and therefore you're chopped or whatever. Anyways, but then you look at like Ziz, and Ziz is like so his is like more mimetic. It's more like this idea of like trying to fulfill a role, and then you see somebody like a Ziz that was more like this aspirational. It was more like aspiring to ideals. It was more like making oneself better. The idea was so that one could look at yourself in the mirror and be happy, not so that you could make someone else happy by your appearance. So it's more of a intrinsic as opposed to extrinsic, essentially. So you could easily be fooled because it seems very similar in a sense. You're like, oh, you see a Ziz. Like he aspires to be aesthetic, ripped, handsome, tanned, fucking, yoked and, tatted up and, all that, like looking good. Like, but it's more for him, for aesthetics, and then having fun. Like he was more about, like you even see Ziz, like there was like a joyful nature to it all. Whereas you just don't get that from Clavicular. I think that's because it isn't intrinsic, it's extrinsic. And I think we're seeing this more and more, unfortunately. If you guys go look up a new picture of the guy. As I was saying, when he first came on the scene, he was good looking fella, a handsome kind of Clark Kent looking sort of guy, kind of buff. Kind of chiseled face, kind of chiseled jaw, and then he's gone weirdly skinny. He got a nose job, just kind of made him look more effeminate. He's become this weird, like lolcow, and it's sad. Honestly, I feel bad for the guy. But I think this is kind of I think there might be something to this. I mean, when he first came on the scene, there were a lot of people immediately were pointing at like, oh, Thiel's going to want to come for this guy because what he was aiming for is essentially transhumanism. If you really think about what Clavicular is doing, and I don't know, I think this is, maybe there's some more commentary to be had that I'm missing, especially comparing and contrasting the Ziz to it, because you look at like transhumanism and this idea, I don't know, maybe even you could make a case that like, I don't know, whatever, I'm overthinking it. Either way, people immediately started saying like Thiel's going to come in this, or even there were, I believe even Clavicular at one point said that like he was being invited to these parties and kind of even joked about how like Thiel's trying to get my booty hole and this and that. Well, the current rumor these days is that Thiel got his hooks all up in that booty hole. Here is a clip from Channel 5 kind of on this. I've had this in the bookmark for a while and I figured we may as well dump it for this today. But it's a little bit of an inside look. Is he controlled? I mean, we've talked about before. It looks like even if he isn't being controlled by Thiel, he does have some weird club situation where he like supposedly owned a club a while. I think he got forced to sell it. It's a whole weird story, but he essentially owned this club that was previously owned by some weird Jewish mobster of some sort, seemingly, allegedly. I don't want to get in trouble. And then, but it looks like he was almost essentially made. The Jewish guy became like this like shadow partner, is what it seems like. And I think later he got forced to sell it back. I don't know. It looks like some sort of scam was happening there. But either way, enough Emin and Han. Let's check out this clip.
Of course, you have Palantir's Peter Thiel, the architect of our modern surveillance state. According to several of our whistleblower sources, Thiel is also personally invested in signal boosting friend of the show, Braden Clavicular Peters. This support and Clav's rapid viral rise makes total sense. Thiel has made a number of strange statements about the future of humanity.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would,
this is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions.
He seems to have a vested interest in creating a post-humanist, technologically transformed future wherein real people like you and I cease to exist in our flesh form, instead living on as immortal creatures up in the cloud.
Yeah, transhumanism is this, the ideal was this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body.
This is not just like a Black Mirror style conspiracy fantasy. There is a race to create this kind of technology right now. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is now involved with a startup called Nectome, who plan to preserve and then upload his brain after death as a base model for what's called cyber immortality. And Google co-founder Larry Page recently declared that digital life is the natural and desirable step in cosmic evolution. So in this context, it makes sense that someone like Clavicular, who has already sterilized himself by injecting peptides into his nuts and ask questions like, what's the ROI on love, when asked about going on a date with a potential romantic partner, would be algorithmically pushed to impressionable pubescent American boys.
All right. I don't think he really gave anything in the realm of receipts, but that is, he just has whistleblower sources. That's doing a lot of lifting here. I thought maybe we get a little bit more in there, but hey, I wouldn't be really surprised. That is the rumor going around. So, but yeah.
Of course, you have
that's completely based on. It's funny here. One of the top comments source. I made it up. Of course, you have. I don't know. I mean, that has been the rumor. A lot of people have been saying this for a while. There's been lots of things to insinuate that probably being the case. Is it? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll bear out here in the future. With that, let's roll through the chat. Say some more good mornings. I'm debating cutting this last segment. I know I said I wouldn't, but I'm gonna be cutting it close. I don't know. I do want to give it its due time if I can. So I don't know. Whatever. Let's roll the chat. We'll see how long I take of the chat talking to you fine people, and then we'll see if I cut the last segment. I don't know. I'm leaning towards it, being a little lazy. Let's check it on you, beautiful people. What you got to say? Good morning, Tara Jackson. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. JMS is sorry. I just had black Hebrew fatigue. I get it. More compliments. I appreciate that. Don't know if it's the same from a girl, but you are a handsome man and buff as fuck. Thank you. That means a lot. It does. It actually means more from a girl, because that's what I was getting at with Gottist earlier, because that's like the I guess the stereotype, or not even stereotype, the I don't know, the thing people say about like the guys is that we never get complimented by women, and so like the one time you're in person and some girl gives you eyes, or like you're kind of handsome, or whatever, or just says something like that, or oh I like your tattoos, or oh I bet you work out, or whatever. It's one of those silly little ones where they're laying it on pretty thick, and like those will like, that's fuel for a man for like years, because we never get those. Those are so fucking rare. So like, that carries you through. But yeah, it's the boys is what is where it's going to come more plenty though. So the homies, those that tell each other they're handsome, that's more realistic, more likely. This is kind of how we keep ourselves going. It's kind of like masturbation, but not quite but not quite, but by somebody else, but not a woman. So, but it's not gay, right? No, yeah, kind of, right? It's not gay. Let's keep checking in the chat. Grizzly agreeing. Good morning. Says Ted Cruz is awful, but he sounded genuine. Honestly, probably was too stupid to be trusted with any important info. I don't know. I mean, he is stupid in his own way, but he's also smart in other ways. So I don't know. I could see him being a trusted person with he's like on the line. Ted Cruz. I do think Ted probably would be somebody that like in some sort of Illuminati, some sort of group, he would be read in to some degree. To what degree, I don't know, but like. He's enough of a team player, and he knows this chick. He knows what he can and can't say. He's made out a few missteps here and there, or more maybe overestimated his abilities once or twice. But he's a company man that knows what's up. I think he'd be read him. Good morning, Mr. Wokereich. Says missed a couple of dumps later. I've been constipated. Sorry, brother. Good to see you here, though. Good to see you getting them flowing again. Good morning, JC. Good to see you here. Good morning. Slut maxing says 6R says I already have AIDS. Why not? I suck Peter Thiel's dick at dialogue, and it's none of your business. 6R. Pretty good. JMS says I like Brett Weinstein. Yeah, that's different. God, I already forgot. What was the other Weinstein's name? Brett and Eric. Yeah. Yeah, Brett's pretty cool. I mean, my theory is that like that Brett is, or not Brett, but Eric is completely like a controlled op, like down to like his roots, just completely, black hat. But like Brett is just such an unsuspecting, just like, I know, naive, what's the word I'm looking for? Gullible, I guess you could say, that he's just completely unaware. And he's like just a white hat. And yet he's not living, but he's got in close proximity his brother, a black hat. That's the way I look at it. I'm like, it's hard to understand what's going on here with the two of them, because Brett is, if Brett is some sort of op, he sells it really good. He's really good at it. I'll give him that. Eric does not sell it well at all. Like, at all. Like, it's just beyond transparent. And so the dichotomy of those two things does leave me like confused. Like, what? Like, what is going on here? Like, whatever. They are brothers and they're adults, so maybe they are just really that, like, have enough of space between each other. They really could have that much of a rift and not even know it, Let's keep going. What's we got? A pyramid scheme of butt fucking, says Tom33. Yep. Aggressively Gring says I used to think Thiel's business strategy was the antithesis of humanity. Now I just think he went to a few too many Amway global conventions. Yeah. Okay, now you're getting ridiculous. Pixie says your lisp is a little sexy. What is your deal, Cubert? What is your fucking problem? You are not buff. Chubby would be a better descriptor. What is your deal, dude? I don't even get it. Like, whatever. Yeah, chubby, I guess, sure, whatever. It's kind of funny at this point. I don't even get it. We just get compliments for just being unnecessarily salty. All right, let's. What should I do? I don't know. We're an hour 40. Fuck it. I'm cutting it. Nobody in this chat said do the next one. That sometimes you guys beg for it. And tomorrow, I believe I'll be coming with you guys probably some Grape Gang stuff, some more following up on Grape Gang and Fentanyl Fast and Furious. So I think those will go well together. So those are both, I think, will be maybe on the lighter side segments. So those two together form a good show. So pop in tomorrow. Who knows? The plans may change. Something else may take the floor, may take more importance. But we're going to go ahead and cut it here. Qbert says check the Rumble rant. Okay, I'll go check the Rumble rant. See, once again, just remind you guys, for anyone who does want to support over at Rumble, I do appreciate it, but you do got to remind me in the chat if you do that, because, I mean, it is what it for some reason, Rumble doesn't integrate. And I guess I could keep it up all the time, but then that lowers, that just makes the internet go slower. So let's check through. Okay, here's Qbert. Okay. Yeah, okay. This explains some more. Here's more context. Says, hey man, you got a compliment. I saw your head blowing up, so I took it upon myself to let a little air out. And no, I don't find you attractive. Not sorry either. You're just not my type. It's okay, Qbert. I assume you're a dude. Like, Qbert, you're a dude, right? I don't know what. Maybe I'm wrong and making some improper assumptions. I just it's assume anyone watching this show is a dude, and I'm blown away when you're like, really? You're a chick and you watch the show? Okay. But yeah, if you're a dude, okay, I guess I kind of need to know for the context here. I guess I just imagine as one of the homies just throwing a weird salt for no reason. It's okay if you don't find me attractive. I just find it funny at this point, but I appreciate the support, brother. Yeah, I don't know. I just find it a funny gag at this point. Anytime I get a comment, you just pop out of the woodworks for no fucking reason and be like, you're ugly as shit, dude. All right, guys, let's all right, I roll the chat. Sorry. That just caught me off guard. It's just a weird. It's a weird ongoing bit. It makes me laugh. But with that, guys, for those who want to support what I'm doing, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. I do got a good outro for you guys, by the way. But you can find you can find it on Twitter as well. On Twitter, that's at Tower Gang Jose. Everywhere else, it's the No Way Jose podcast. If you want to support the show in the best way you can do it with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. Top left-hand corner, you get a QR code right there. They'll take you the same exact place, that URL I just gave. The low level $2 to get access to early episodes. I do about 1 or 2 of those per week. Keep about 3 to 4 of them behind the paywall at any given time. Tonight I should be having Matt Wolfson coming back on the show, covering whatever his latest piece is. So right around 8:45 is usually when we do those Eastern. So if you're a patron, it'll be live. You can pop in. It'll probably drop for the weekend for everybody else. I have and I should have Jacob coming back on the show tomorrow for another West Memphis thing. That'll be weeks before that drops, if not months, those sort of episodes. So just letting you know the sort of things you're getting. You also get an ad for your RSS feed. You get get access to Telegram. You get access to the pre-show, post-show, and video calls of me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which was last night, Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Had a good pre-show, post-show. Fun time hanging out with all the fans or just all the supporters last night. Loved doing that. We got done a little bit early, so I had more time to hang out with them. For those who, I give a big shout out to the highest level of my Patreon. It's a big thank you for their support. My previous host, Entire Gang, at Leonard Toad, also at Brigade D's, at ZOVGCK, at _ Zio, Tim Tuttle, at John Klebo, big fan of the show, Tormate, at Wayne Tacos, One Graph for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, and Jacob Wintergrad of the Biblical Anarchy Podcast, and John Black, that beautiful bastard. We'll see you guys in the next one. We should be here tomorrow, give or take 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you then. And for the patrons, we'll see you tonight or tomorrow night, whatever. But I do have a good outro, as I said. I do want to give, this is a clip from the Tim Dillon show. So I still struggle to understand fair use rules or whatever. But hey, if you're one of Tim Dillon's people and you come across this channel right now and you're like, oh my God, YouTube flagged me, you're playing our content, just know, I'm telling everyone right now, go to the Tim Dillon show, go watch the show. It's a very funny show. I typically, I wouldn't say I religiously watch it, but maybe like every other week, once every few weeks, I might find myself catching it. I always find myself laughing. It's a good show, so you should go check it out. So I am promoting this. Also, it's a perfect little bookend on my presentation for today. Gives them a little bit of a rant on JD Vance. So please do not hit me for strike. You're only shooting yourself in the foot. This helps build up your brand. All right, with that, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Love you all. Bye-bye.
And this is about J.D. Vance reconnecting with his faith, and how God has chosen him to be the president. God, of course, used Peter Thiel as an emissary to select J.D. Vance. Anyway, this is, so we have here an excerpt from the book, God Chose Me by J.D. Vance. Here we are. After sacrificing Charlie Kirk to the entity Baal, I began to think about my faith. Long nights in the vice president's residence, pacing, thinking about if the sacrifice to Baal would be enough. Long meetings in the Oval Office and the Situation Room discussing Baal's incessant appetite for flesh. When will Baal get enough, I would ask while drinking my morning coffee. Or at night while I sat there and my wife, expressionless, stared at me and refusing to speak. Does Baal care about America, I would ask? Is Baal a fan? Could I get a meeting with Baal? Could I sit toe-to-toe with Baal and in its ancient tongue convince it to stop killing? Very, by the way, as an excerpt from a book, it's very interesting because it's J.D. Vance communicating with the deity Baal. Well, of course, many people are going to say, well, that's not technically in his book. It's the essence of the book. It's the essence of the book. And I'm allowed, by the way, to take poetic license